What's going on, guys? I'm gonna be going over some charts today. Sorry about not posting on Friday. Just been a long work week, pretty exhausted. Took a few trades, did well. As far as my trading has gone, had a really good week over the week. As far as my trading went, besides the one day that I kind of took a hefty loss. Other than that, it has not been a terrible week as far as trading. The market was pretty accommodating. Uh, Mostly easy to read after the data and everything came out. So going into the end of the month, only a couple more trading days left. We'll see how this thing closes out. This past week was pretty interesting, and I just wanted to work my way down on the charts, showing you guys how I break down a chart from a technical standpoint, just using basic technical analysis and how I chart things. So, furthermore, let's get into it. Let's look at what has occurred here, right? Let's look at the monthly. All right, we're going to zoom deep in here. That way we have a pretty good visual as to what's going on. So the monthly is in a balance. Otherwise, what some people call a channel, uh, sideways, chop, however you want to look at it. But market is in a balance. Basically, price is just trading in a very large range from a monthly standpoint. We have been since early this year, one time frame and down, basically trend down. The market's been trend down all year long, selling off. Selling pressure has stayed on for the most part all year long. Every new low resulted in a 1 to 2 month bounce, it appears, right? New low, we bounced 1 month, new low, bounce 2 months, new low, bounce 2 months. Is this next leg the leg down? Is the question. Monthly had been in a trend down mode until um, right here in July, coming into the end of the summer, after we made that first new low on the year. We were basically trend down, one time framing down. Basically, all that means is we had been taking out previous month's lows uh, all year long until July. July kind of stopped it as it was an inside month, and then we came into August. We popped, put the monthly back into a balance, um, or you could have said the monthly began to one time frame up. However you look at it. Actually, I might have said the monthly was one time framing up at this point because we had an inside month and then we took out 1, 2, and 3 monthly highs. Uh, so monthly was trend up at the time, but we closed back inside that range in August near the lows. And then come September, we set new lows on the year, began to one time put the monthly back into a balance. Then in October, we took out September's low, so we tried to one time frame down again. We tried to go trend down again in October after September, right? We set new lows on the year. Didn't get much acceptance down here, as the next monthly low isn't until 32.43.25. That's your next monthly target. Had October continued to trend down, but it didn't. It came back in. And then November, we put the monthly back into a balance. So I've just basically call this whole area one large balance with August's high being the monthly balance high and then October's low being the monthly balance low. And what have we done? Well, come into December, we got near the top of the monthly balance high and we've rolled over, right? That's what's occurred. Uh, right here at the beginning of or December, excuse me, the beginning of December, we had a really good opportunity to go and test the monthly balance high, uh, as we had taken out September's high. We hadn't done that yet. This is the first month we've done it in 3 months. We didn't get much above it and backed off. Is that all bulls and wanted to do? And or was this just a massive short covering rally from the new lows on the year? Now we're selling off again. Let's look at the weekly. So monthly is in a balance. Let's look at the weekly inside this monthly balance. Why is this not zooming? Okay. Doesn't want to zoom. Zoom, zoom. All right, there we go. So now let's look at the weekly inside this balance. Weekly had been trend down all year long as well for the most part, coming back into the balance, trend up for a little bit, and going into the August, as you can see, that's where we set that monthly high up here, and then came down and set new lows in the year. Well, this, and I was describing on Thursday how it was like a P shape for short covering is what it kind of looked like. And we got near the top of that monthly balance high and then backed off. We closed out the week with an outside week down. So that's what it looks like inside our monthly balance. Now let's look at our weekly. Right, we had a multi-week balance low right here, starting back from from November 14th low at 39.1250. That was the balance low. And then this was the balance high up here at 41.10. Well, we took out both sides. So the monthly or the weekly tried to get above this trend line, try to push up, get near that monthly balance high, right? And then it backed off pretty heavy. Uh, as we found some rejection, we began to sell off a little bit. This is what's occurred. We broke back down through that monthly balance low, so now the weekly is one time frame and down, in my opinion. The next weekly target is down here at 37, 37, 38, 25. Next weekly target, where you might find some support on the weekly time frame. So if you're a swing trader and you taken that trade against the monthly balance high, and your time frame that you're looking at is the weekly and the dailies to kind of determine what to do with your positioning, then you're in the money pretty good right now. Do you let this thing sell off a little bit more before you start to get near your target, or do you try to let it get to your target and then allow it and then see if there's some bids in this area near that weekly balance or that weekly low here at 37, 38.25 back in November? So weekly outside week down, now one time frame and down, trying attempting to go trend down on the weekly. So when we come in on Monday, what do we look for? We look to take out this week's low or this previous week's low and target 37, 38.25 to continue the one time frame down. That's what sellers would like to do. And then let's look at the bigger picture. Trend down. See this downtrend line? We got above it, did not find acceptance above. Price needed to find acceptance above it, and we did not get that. So we start to reject. Next destinations after these weekly lows is the yearly low. Let's see what occurs coming into the close of this year. Let's look at the daily, and then you can kind of see how we tried to hold that multi-week low, multi-week balance low on the daily a few times, but couldn't quite do it as we kept finding rejection of the 200-day moving average. You see this red line coming down through here? That's our 200-day moving average. We could not find acceptance above it. Price tried once for a few days early on and late in November, and then early on in December. Couldn't do it. We backed off. We made a second attempt here late in December. Couldn't do it. We rejected. We've now back tested this 50-day moving average. There was also a gap down here, and I said earlier this month that all gaps tend to get filled, and guess what? We came and filled this gap on the daily. So let's look at daily. Your next daily target isn't until 37.51.50, way down here. 37.51.50. So if we find acceptance below this 50-day moving average, which right now is at 38.75.25, you don't have anything really holding you up from a larger perspective until 37.51.50. Now on the intraday, it's a little bit different, and I'll show you why. Um, but that's what's occurred. Let's look at the SPY real quick. Let's look at that and then kind of show you. SPY is going to look a little bit different because it had a dividend. ES filled the gap that we had on Friday. SPY held the gap, so there's an upside gap now right in here, right there, a little upside gap. But this gap right here was the one that I was talking about, the one that I'm highlighting currently. That gap up right here, I said would get filled, and guess what? It got filled to the T. Both SPY and ES closes below the 50-day moving average. Now we're looking to find acceptance below that 50-day moving average. If we do, things can start to get ugly. As I said, those next daily and weekly lows are pretty far off, and there isn't much down there to hold us up. So that's kind of what we're looking at as far as the larger picture. Monthly, still in a big balance. Weekly, outside week down. And you can see that here on the SPY as well. Outside week down on the weekly. And then our daily is one time framing down 2 days in a row with a gap for the SPY, none for ES. One time framing down, and then we look to find continuation come Monday, take out this daily low from Friday, continue to one time frame down, which would also continue the one time framing down on the weekly, uh, and we may reach those destinations. So sellers, are they starting to step back in? Who knows? This market is very emotional. Uh, with that being said, let's break down the intraday from Friday. Hmm. Oh, okay, that's why. It's showing the December contract. I'm kind of like, what the heck is going on? H23, that's the contract we need. All right. So let's look here. So we have a gap from the other day, from Thursday, that we have on the upside that has not filled and is unrelated to the SPY's dividend gap. Now Friday we did gap lower, but like I said, in ES we filled that early on in A period. Filled that early on in A period as there wasn't much going on. Ooh, we are zoomed in there. All right. But you can see we broke that low of day. Right here is where that red line you see here. That's our opening, 38.99. That's where we opened. We opened with a pretty decent gap, and then that filled right away off the open. And then some pretty interesting things happened. After we filled the gap, we backed off. B took out A's low and created a large set of single prints. So early on, if you just pay attention to the right side, this is what it looked like. Um, we filled that gap. B opens up immediately, which is this right here alone is pretty unique. I'll explain about that here in a second. But B opens up, immediately pushes down and takes out A's low. With that happening, we create a large set of single prints and a trend day down. Um, Large set holds for the majority of the day, and all that means when I say single prints is, like I said, there's supply in this area. Later, you look to see if that supply holds or if it gets filled with demand when we push back up. Basically, you should find sellers in this area whenever you push into it the first few times initially. Now, in B period, something significant happened in B period. It opened up at 39.0550. The high of that candle is 39.0550, and it pushes directly down. That's what you call the highest accepted price. All right. Basically, one auction ended and another began, and it was an auction to the downside. So we have a highest accepted price here. So that's something pretty significant to lean on. We're going to market. Um, some people don't know about those technical things, technical terms like that, where algorithms tend to get pretty set um, when it comes to destinations, and that's one of those destinations that if you're not careful and you're thinking, maybe we'll go and get the high day from today, and you didn't know that that was there, and you come up to 39.0550 and we back off and pretty good, and you're like, what the heck happened? Why didn't we get the high day? That's why. It's because you have this highest accepted price here in this region that does make a difference. 16. So we'll label that highest accepted price, something pretty significant, something we can lean on as sellers. So then we have this set of single prints. Trend day down, basically selling every time frame that you can against the previous time frame's high, and obviously that would have been your out. Reversal bar and G period, set new lows on the day. Couldn't get much extension down here in G, H, and J, so you kind of sense something was changing. Uh, Curly, K period, attempted at the lows, couldn't get any extension past the lows, and at that point you knew this thing was going to be in for a short covering rally, and that's what occurred. We know a guy in the trading room who took a long down here, beautiful long down here at 38.60, and held it basically to K's high at 38.78, and then he got out most of his position at 38.72s. So a really good trade there by that guy. Props to him for being able to hold it all the way through. As I was taking shorts initially in K and in L period against this set of single prints, which worked the first few times. Enough to help me get paid. As I was selling around 75, 76, my out was at 81.50 and 82s. That would have been where I got out because I had a feeling if we got into the single prints, then it would do exactly what we did in L and M, which is fill it with demand. So those single prints eventually disappeared, but in the first few times against it, I took a short and it worked out well. Like I said, I was selling 75s, 76s. It rolls over. I got out around 71s and then 70s. As I was just looking for this thing to give us a nice little pullback and I wanted to get out of the trade. So overall, good day as far as that goes. We end with today's high, so we'll mark it. That highest accepted price we've already marked. So we push up against these levels. We'll look to see if sellers defend it or if they begin to give it up and we get any acceptance above it, and then that would put the daily back into a balance. 12, what was it? 1250. 1250 is the high day. 8 wide POC, we're not going to ignore it. Pretty decent amount of volume in this area, but not anything to really lean on. It's a destination that could potentially be hit if we decide to pull back on Monday. Good potential if we don't open up with a gap or anything. Then we have our low day here at 25. So we'll go ahead and mark that. Boom, 25. Low day 12/16, which is Friday. And buyers will look to defend that area. Sellers want to take it out to continue to one-time frame down and get continue to one-time frame down and get to that other weekly low. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you watching these videos. If you stick it out to the end, you're a trooper because I know these 20-minute videos are a lot. But I do try to explain everything to the best of my knowledge and kind of give you guys an idea of what I'm seeing, how I'm trading it, and what I'm looking for. So, till next time, we'll see you later. Bye bye.